Hey everyone, my name is Kyle.
And I'm Rebecca.
And on the day we're posting this, it actually is our 4th wedding anniversary. And so in honor of that, I thought we'd actually share the story of our wedding because it's a little bit unique in that we spent just over $2,000 and paid for the majority of it by ourselves. So we get questions about this all the time, about how we were able to spend so little and why we decided to do it this way. So I thought we'd cover all of that. So like I said, one of the first questions we get is why did we decide to do it this way? We ended up having just 12 guests at our wedding, including the two of us, and we did it in Las Vegas. And on pretty short notice, we got engaged in June and married in October. Mm-hmm. So why?
So Kyle lived in California and I lived in Florida, and our family was just spread out everywhere.
Yeah, so having a big wedding wasn't really going to be feasible. So, we kind of had talked about eloping at one point and just having no one there.
Right.
And then we ended up compromising and deciding just to invite like immediate family, so hence the 12 people. But my big reason, more so than even just the logistics of it all, was that I never really understood why people spent a ton of money on a wedding when they're supposed to be starting a new life together, and there's all sorts of expenses that kind of come with that, especially you were going to be moving to California, which wasn't necessarily cheap. So I thought it would make sense to really put that money to work instead of spending it on, as Chandler Bing would say, a big party. So then because of that, like I said, we ended up spending just over $2,000 on the entire thing, including the rings, which I don't know if you should include, but I'm going to include it anyway. So the first thing on that list of expenses was this wedding dress, actually.
Yes, this is actually a special occasion dress, and it was $99. And I bought shoes, which I then had to dye to match, and I had the hem altered a little bit so that it was better suited for my height and didn't cut me off weird on the knees. But my total look was about $150.
And this suit, it was actually one that I had before we got married, so that worked out. And it was from H&M anyway, so it wasn't that expensive to begin with.
So one of our other costs was invitations, which were more like save the dates, to let our friends and families know that we were getting married. And then we bought postcards, and of course we had to mail those, so stamps factored into that. It was about $115 for the invitations and the stamps.
Yeah, because we sent out 100 of them, and we'll kind of explain more about that in just a minute.
Of course, part of the process of getting married is having a marriage license, and we were able to apply for that online, and then go in and just sign
pay
the
them,
paperwork.
and I think they gave me a confirmation number, so they pull up your information that you've already entered online. You pay them, I think it was $80, and we were out the door. So that was really easy, and that was another advantage of getting married in Las Vegas. They're kind of, built for such things.
Right.
So one of our larger costs was the venue, which was the Excalibur Wedding Chapel, simply named. It used to be called the Canterbury Wedding Chapel. Now it's just the Excalibur Wedding Chapel, last time I checked, or last time we were there. And so that was nice. That was $205 for the venue itself, which we could have up to 20 guests with that package that we got. And it also included some photography, which we'll talk about in a minute. But the one fee that wasn't included with that is that you also needed to pay the minister, which I believe was $55.
Yes.
And they supplied him, and he was we really enjoyed him. But yeah, they took care of that for us. We just had to pay that fee. So all in all, it was around $260. And it included photography. So we had a person shooting in the wedding itself and then took us into the studio afterwards.
Yes, we had some studio time where we could take some pictures right after our wedding. Some of the bride, some of the groom, the classic kissing picture. And that was really nice.
Keep, as part of our package, we got 4 4x6s so we got to choose from all the different photos that they took. And then we ended up buying an extra one, a nice picture of us kissing. It's got black and white with just pops of red because I had a red boutonniere and she had the red on there. So it looked really nice. And that was with the nice frame and everything. It was around $100. So then I should also mention, on top of the regular photography, we chose to stream our wedding live on the internet. There's a couple different package options, but we ended up choosing the one that would not only stream it live, but allow people to play it back for up to 2 months. So that was $89. And so what we did was we took the link for that and made it into a tiny URL. So it was tiny. I bet you if you go to this day, tinyurl.com/Kyle and Becca, BEKAH, it'll probably load the Excalibur wedding photography page or whatever it is. But yeah, so then people could tune into our wedding. We had people watching on iPads and iPhones and computers all across the country. And it was really cool to go home and watch it ourselves. And then also, just even as we're, going back to our phones after the ceremony, getting texts from people like, hey, I got to watch. We loved it.
Congratulations, you looked great.
Yeah, watch me mess up my vows, but that's a story for another time.
So after the ceremony, of course, we had our reception dinner. We went over to the Luxor Hotel and ate at Rice and Company, which was really nice. That was our biggest expense, was about $625, I think.
With the tip.
Including the tip, and that was for 12 people. That included alcoholic beverages, appetizers, entrees, salads. And what we really liked about that was everybody got to eat what they wanted to. Instead of having to choose from a limited menu, they could have whatever they like.
And definitely not a traditional wedding menu either.
No.
I mean, I had fried rice, you had pad thai, my dad had Peking duck.
Yeah.
We had pot stickers for appetizers. It was awesome.
Yes, it was.
And then one special thing we did do was when we actually went to go make the reservation, they actually transfer you to an event coordinator because it's more than 10 people in the party.
Right.
So then she offered a couple of ideas. And instead of getting a wedding cake, we decided to choose these wedding cookies. So they were sugar cookies with nice frosting. We got to choose the colors. So there was like a rose of icing, and it had our names piped on there with the date and everything.
Yes.
So those were a little pricey. Those were $6.50 a piece, and we got a baker's dozen because we wanted everyone there to be able to have their own. And then we took one home to freeze and had on our first anniversary, which I believe it tasted even better.
Yeah,
a year later.
It was definitely good. It was definitely good.
So that was definitely the right way to go because after all that Chinese food, we didn't want to eat a whole cake.
No.
So also at dinner we decided to present everyone with a little gift.
Yes.
So we actually arranged to make custom puzzles for everyone. So I went on Photoshop and took some pictures of us as kids and teenagers kind of throughout the years, made a fun design, and we made some of those and gave one to each household at the wedding. So that cost us about $100, including the 6 puzzles and some shipping. So I think it was definitely worth it, and I think it was a nice surprise for everyone.
It was. As we mentioned, one of the costs was our rings, and we found our wedding bands on Etsy, of all places. We found a really unique shop with custom-made wedding bands and
kind of cool designs, kind of funky designs and stuff. Because that was one thing we were a little disappointed about when we were first looking on Etsy. We thought it'd be like all these cool handmade rings, and there was a lot of shops that were very generic, and it seemed like everyone was selling the exact same, just boring rings. So we were excited to find something different.
Well, and this one, the color has faded now, but the inside of the ring was colored, and you could choose what color you wanted. And then, of course, we've got this nice etching on the outside. So it was just completely unique, and we really, really liked that.
Yeah, so even though the colors faded, I think it was still a good deal. They were $200 for the set. So, definitely not a bad deal. And I think he actually would re-dye them if we send them to him, but it'd be weird to not have my ring on at this point. It's been 4 years. So, and then finally we had our hotel room, which we stayed at the Luxor in the Pyramid Suite, one of the Pyramid Suites actually. So we had a nice hot tub in there and everything. Great space, and that was about $200. We got a little bit of a discount because they give you a special code when you're getting married. Even though Excalibur and Luxor are separate hotels, they're owned by the same company, so they was all part of the same discount. So that was really nice, and I think I even got us an early check-in, so I think it was a couple bucks extra, but
yeah, not bad at all.
Yeah, and really convenient being married next door and having a place to crash right afterwards.
Yes.
Because it's an exhausting experience.
It is.
So all in that came to $2,031.60, just over $2,000. I think that I can make an argument for a couple things that should be eliminated, so it should be under $2,000. But our parents were nice enough to actually split the cost of dinner, so even though we were including that, that's actually the one thing we didn't pay for. We paid for the cookies, but they covered the actual food itself. So then the other question we get all the time is, do we regret it?
No, we don't regret it. Of course, I've thought about my wedding since I was a little girl, and I've imagined gorgeous dresses and long trains and big wedding party, but it just didn't make sense in reality for us to do that. So there's some things I think I would have enjoyed, but I don't regret what we did at all.
No, I don't either. I think it made a lot of sense, and it was really stress-free. Like watching a bunch of other people plan weddings, I get stressed out for them. So I like this. I mean, we just had to call and book the venue, and the photography and all of that was taken care of for us. Everyone got to watch it. So we just really just had to like show up.
Yeah,
So
pretty much.
That was pretty great.
Very limited decisions.
And then, you know, with her moving to California and having to find a job and everything, it really helped us get started as a couple financially. And we also did something similar with our honeymoon. We went about 6 months after our wedding, which gave her time to settle into a job, gave us time. We actually spent the money that we financed our honeymoon with was gifts from the wedding, so we didn't go into debt to go on our honeymoon, which was another big win in my book. I definitely have no regrets about the entire experience, and I'd recommend it to anyone, and I think I have recommended it to plenty of people. I think actually my favorite review of our wedding came from my father, who said that he loved it. It was the best wedding ever because it had everything he needed and nothing he didn't. So if you're planning a wedding, I hope this gave you a little bit of guidance, or at least maybe some inspiration of how we were able to do everything on the cheap, I'd say. Not cheap, on the thrifty.
Thrifty, definitely
Yeah,
thrifty.
like,
Our
I mean,
wedding wasn't cheap.
Yeah,
but
I don't think we're missing anything. Like, I
No.
was happy with everything, and I think the things that we did spend money on were quality.
Yes.
So anyway, I hope that helped you out, and well, happy anniversary.
Happy anniversary.
So thank you guys for tuning in, and we'll see you next time on Money at 30.